Next, we're going to take a look at the Rate Insight Ranking tab. And we'll go over how ranking works and what these numbers represent in practice. First of all, Ranking tab is going to show us information, ranking information based on 3 channels. In this case, we can see we've got Booking.com, Expedia, TripAdvisor, and these quick views at the top. We can also see which one we want to look at primarily here if we want to switch it up. Another thing is we can view in the monthly or the weekly change. So here I can see Booking.com ranking moved 85 spots. Weekly, only 24. And the last thing is we can compare primary or secondary comp set. So I want to see secondary comp set, how I'm doing. Can check that out too. Might be different. The ranking information in this dashboard is going to be based on the subscription's default configuration, which for this particular subscription is one night. It's also not possible to live shop ranking information. So that's just something to know. We can see here it actually happened 20 hours ago, so this is likely about to go through soon. It does happen once a day, so that's not something we can change currently. The system's going to perform ranking checks for the coming 90 days, and they'll perform it once a day. And then the data is going to be aggregated and updated in this dashboard. So you can see it's going to happen in another 4 hours. But if a customer asks, this isn't something we can live shop currently. Now, right now, all the data we're looking at is for Booking.com. But if we were to select Expedia.com, for example, either here or by clicking, all the information is going to be based upon them. Same thing if I click here or drop down, select TripAdvisor, we'll adjust to be TripAdvisor data instead. I'm also going to show you an example on how ranking checks are performed within Lighthouse. Imagine you're opening an incognito window and then you look at Booking.com in the search field. You can add a destination, and this would, let's go to Booking.com. And the destination is normally going to be the city or the region where the hotel is located, but it can also vary from channel to channel. So, one thing to note is that the destination that's being viewed for the ranking might be different from Booking.com to Expedia to TripAdvisor, right? Those regions are selected by the actual sites and not by us. So just something to keep in mind. The system's going to suggest to you always a list of properties that have availability on the date searched and that you will be able to book. The system doesn't actually look at all these properties, but instead it's only going to select the ones that are specifically marked as hotels and the ones that have 5 stars, 4 stars, and 3 stars. So, it's going to ignore all the 1-star and 2-star hotels, and we've concentrated the list. So now that Booking.com is suggesting a list of, a certain number of properties. Note that the destinations vary from channel to channel. And so depending on where something is situated, a particular competitor, so even if they're listed in the primary comp set, may or may not appear if it's not thought of in Booking.com as in that particular ranking. And also, each system has their own limit. So if you're ever unsure, you can reach out to us, but for Booking.com, the limit's typically around 1,000. So, something to note is if someone's in the primary comp set and someone's in the primary comp set and we're looking here and we see they're not even listed. I know I have more competitors. Some of them are missing. It says right here there's 1,000 properties listed. But just note that differs also channel to channel. So if you have any questions about that, you can always reach out and we'd be happy to help you out with that. So here we can see Expedia's has 154. So something like you or 155 wouldn't be listed here. So no ranking. Wouldn't be listed at all. It's not that they're missing, it's that they're not in that top 154, or if it's another location out of the region. Of course, the property itself is always going to be in the region that's being searched by the channel. All right. One thing to note is there are each channel has its own limitations, of course, or data points that they use. One thing to note for Booking.com in particular is that the ranking is per arrival date. So just something to note, whether checkout date, arrival date, these are all, or booking date, these are all based on arrival date. So just something to note here. And we can also always see a breakdown by clicking, expanding, hovering, or just going down to the graph view as well. So if we look at the graph, same options as always. I can select or unselect certain properties. I can see a map of my review score over time for this particular channel, in this case, Booking.com. So as we scroll down, we still know it's Booking.com by this. Top we can tell here as well. And we can also see an easy ranking of us versus our competitors, review score, us versus our competitors on this particular booking channel, Booking.com. Again, it can differ page to page for sure. Let's take a peek at TripAdvisor. Here I can see my review score is a 4, ranking is a 1, and only 4 properties are listed for this particular region. So something to keep in mind. We can see that only us and one other competitor that we have listed in our primary comp set is listed. And that's because the others either weren't in the top 4, weren't considered in this region, or maybe aren't on TripAdvisor at all.